science and the truth about healthy eating. Anthony, good evening to you. You're a fan of adding things to food as opposed to taking them out. Am I understanding that right?
Yeah, that would be right. I mean, I'm a fan of making foods healthier, and I believe the best way to do that is to put good things into them rather than demonizing certain ingredients or demonizing calories or demonizing fat or demonizing sugar. I think we should be sort of formulating to put good things into food, get more fruits and vegetables into people's diets, put more fiber into people's diets. And I think that's a much better way to go about reformulating and improving the way people eat rather than kind of making people scared of food. I think a lot of the time we create a lot of fear about food and eating behaviour, and we set people up for a really difficult, disordered relationship with food by doing that. So I'd much rather encourage people to enjoy good things and get more healthy food into their diet than making them feel bad about what they are eating.
When it comes to obesity, the measure is often BMI, an adult's BMI. Do you think that's the right metric?
No, I think as a measure of individual health, I think it's an absolutely terrible metric because there's so many things it doesn't take into account. It doesn't take into account differences between genders, differences between ethnic groups, and differences in just the size and shape of people. We end up, I think it's a really problematic way of the relationship with diet and health is very poor generally, and the arbitrary cut-offs which define who's overweight and who's obese, which is 25 and 30, because someone thought they were nice round numbers, I think is extremely bizarre and can put people into a very difficult and problematic relationship with their own body when they cross these arbitrary thresholds, which really don't apply to everybody. So I think it's a very terrible measure from an individual point of view. We really shouldn't be focusing on it at all. At a population level, it maybe has some merit to look at sort of population studies of how BMI is changing over time. But even then, there were changes in body shape and size because of the way we eat and the way we exercise, which aren't taken into account. And in the way the population ages. So I think we should really get away from BMI completely and focus on other areas of health, because BMI is kind of correlated to some health sort of issues, but it's actually, I think we'd be far better off if we got away from talking about BMI and focused far more on people's actual health and perhaps sort of breaking this relationship between BMI and health by encouraging healthier behaviours, encouraging better diets, encouraging exercise, encouraging people to stop smoking or not to drink to excess. That would be far more effective in improving the nation's health than this focus on people's body weight and size. I think you can tell very little from walking around looking at people. And more important than that, perhaps, it's very difficult if you just tell people you need to lose weight. It's very difficult to get them to do that. It's an incredibly hard thing for people